I think sometimes it is easier to keep emotions in and bottle them up than to truly talk about how we feel. And I feel like time and time again, we always hear that's not healthy because it's not. I think it's really difficult to be emotionally vulnerable, and it takes a really strong person to be emotionally vulnerable and really feel everything. But I don't think we can heal or grow or change if we're not emotionally vulnerable with one another or even with ourselves. I think it's really hard as a person to understand your emotions and understand mistakes and your faults and try to understand your behaviors. But without those things, how do we expect to heal or change or even just grow? Um, I've struggled with internally being completely honest with how I felt about my behaviors for years. And I think it's impacted relationships, whether it's platonic or romantic, um, family life or job, work life. I think it's impacted so much. I think we should all be alone a bit more and really take the time to think about our actions and emotions. And I think it could benefit us as people more than we understand. It's okay to have emotions. And I think I've been around so many people who've made me feel like I can't be emotional that I've looked at being emotional as weak and corny and embarrassing. And it's strung me away from being emotional and talking about how I feel. I think it's even impacted the way that I process my own emotions because I don't want to feel them. Rather than openly telling someone I was crying, I'd be sitting there crying myself to sleep or, trying to reach, I wouldn't reach out to anybody about how I felt. But that's not healthy and that's not normal. And when I say normal, I mean it's not healthy to keep everything to yourself. Even I have a lot of work to do with myself, but I think the first step was recognizing my behaviors and emotional patterns. I think everyone wants to grow and change for the most part, but I think we don't know how. I think if we all shared how we felt a bit more, we would realize that we are all so similar to one another. We all feel some sort of hurt. We all feel some sort of emotion. I think sometimes we just don't want to realize that not only we, but other people feel these emotions too. I think, especially for me, I didn't want people to know what I was going through or how I felt as a person. And so I kept it all in. But I realized I could have grown and changed so much as a person if I would have been a bit more open about how I feel. Maybe I would have saved myself from a lot of situations I have been in. I think it's also really hard to be alone and in touch with your emotions because we always want to be with someone else. And when I say with someone else, I don't just mean romantically. I mean, in general, we have that nature of needing a sense of belonging. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, always wanting to feel a sense of belonging. I think that one day we have to realize it is significantly healthier to be alone than to be with people who don't understand us and don't make us feel seen or heard. I think it's really hard to take that step into being alone. I have spent the last 2 weeks really detoxing off my phone and being completely okay with sitting by myself and just thinking about everything that I feel and everything I want to grow from and behaviors I don't want to partake in anymore, and learning that I was starting to conform with people I was around because I wanted to feel a sense of belonging. But not everyone is here for the same purpose and not everyone wants to feel the same way. There's nothing wrong with separating yourself from people who don't make you feel like you matter or that you can be emotional. There's nothing wrong with being emotionally vulnerable. And if anything, I think if we were a bit more emotionally vulnerable, then we could understand each other a whole lot better. I think everyone just needs to be alone a bit more and learning to accept how you feel, because we can only move on through acceptance and through really recognizing our behaviors and others and just anything. I feel like I kind of rambled a bit, but I think it's hard to be emotionally vulnerable. I think it's hard to be alone.